that has been issued just east of Lacona, southwest of Melcher, Dallas. You can see this area of rotation is what we have been tracking. So I'm going to zoom back out a little bit here. And we're going to put a track on this storm for you guys, that area of rotation, to give you an idea of when it's going to be where you are at. So we've had quite a bit of activity today, but not a ton of severe storms. Had a few earlier, and now this is kind of the main one that we have been tracking. Melcher, Dallas, you got around a minute. Knoxville coming in at 16 minutes. Harvey coming in at 28 minutes. Tracy, 31. Pella, 33. Layton coming in at around 39 minutes. As we hop back over to radar here, you can kind of see this little line right here. It's a boundary that's been interacting with this line of storms, and as we see that happen, that can modify the wind field around this and bring in that potential for rotation that's necessary for tornadic rotation. So zooming in a little bit here, I'm going to go street level for you. You can see this area right here, that little red dot that we've got. That's some strong rotation. This is just to the north of New Bern, east of Lacona, making its way northeast. So Melcher, Dallas, you need to be in your safe spot right now. This is going to be on top of you in no time here. I'm going to zoom back in a little bit further, and we're going to go street level with you to pinpoint where this area of rotation exists. This is just to the east of 20th Place, west of 30th Avenue. And again, this has been trekking to the northeast. So I'm going to continue to zoom out just a little bit, get more streets up on here for you. Tyler Street down the line from this, Highway G76 down the line as well. And we're looking at areas like 60th Avenue, Shaw Street even in the path of this. So I kind of want to put this in motion and see exactly how it's been tracking. And you can see storms have been moving very quick. We've been talking around 50 miles per hour for the speed on these storms. And that makes this make its way into town even quicker. Again, as these work their way in, there's a lot of rain out ahead of this. Not going to be one you're going to be able to head out and see because of that, because of the boundary that we've got stretching its way to the east just south of Melcher, Dallas. That has been kicking up showers. That has been kicking up enough intensity to even see a little bit of lightning as that streams outward from that. So as I stop that in motion here, you can see the core of that storm just to the east of Lacona right now. Mainly talking about wind, but could even be talking about some pea-sized hail associated with this on the back edge of the storm. So Melcher, Dallas likely seeing some decently heavy rain at this point before that area of rotation works its way your direction. And that just dodged a little bit to the south here, but it is kind of an elongated area of rotation that has formed here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this and how this continues to interact with that area of storms, but really heavy rain falling associated with this. We had, nearly an inch fall in the metro here in just an hour or so as this pushed its way on through. So I'm going to put one more track up on here as we get a new update on that sheer spot right there. Again, this has been moving pretty quick to the northeast here, so we'll go around 42 miles per hour. Harvey, you've got 26 minutes. Tracy now coming in at 27 minutes. We've got Pella at 32. Layton coming in at 36. We've got Beacon at 41, and Peoria coming in at 42 minutes. So strong storm, again, continuing across towards eastern portions of the state here. And as we zoom out statewide, I'll take lightning off so you can see all of the storms we've got. This is the strongest one we've got. Some of the storms to the south still maintaining some strength, but we're not seeing any rotational components down there. And honestly, the energy that we've seen today in the atmosphere has been a little muted because we had the clouds that streamed out ahead and even some showers and some lighter thunderstorms out ahead of this that kept a lot of that down. So still have some conditions, though, that are conducive as we've still got to watch out east of here, but we'll go a little bit to the south. I want to keep an eye on some other portions of this line just to make sure that we're not seeing anything else spin, but strong winds to the south along 65, even as you head upwards towards Sheridan. You look at Doppler winds here, and they still carry that couplet right there. So I'm going to hop back over to my shear product, and we'll take a look at where that area of rotation is the strongest again, and I want to get right down street level with you. So 50th Place, this is right on the Lucas County line, 260th Avenue. This is making its way east-northeast, so if you're along Webster Street, right along the Lucas County line, that means you got to get to that safe space, whether that's the lowest level of your house, the most interior room of your house. These are the spots that you need to go to. If you've got a safety kit to go along with you, maybe you've got a tornado bag with all your safety elements in there. That'd be a good thing to have as this pushes its way on through. Continue to see this make its way east towards Columbia. And as we looked at before, we'll have to keep an eye on where this boundary continues to trek as well to see how that continues to interact with this storm and if it does take any of that rotation along with it. But if we continue to see more areas pop up out in front of this, we may start to see some of that rotation and some of that intensity start to get a little weaker, start to get a little muddier, and hopefully that's what we see happen. Oftentimes when we see tornadoes like this form or rotation form along a line, it doesn't last that long because it doesn't have, it's not like a standalone storm or it's not competing with anything else for energy. But this it's right along that line. And that area of rotation's still there, but it has weakened just a little bit. So we're going to continue on with this for you guys until this does weaken altogether. We've got Ann Campolongo in studio as well, covering this. And again, she's going to be with us as we see this storm through. Ann, what are you seeing right now?
I just wanted to make note here because the severe thunderstorm watch had been trimmed back within the last half an hour or so. So just want to take a quick moment to point that out. So it's just the counties here in the pink that are still under that severe thunderstorm watch. So it does include portions of the metro area, Warren County, Jasper County, and then points to the south and east. So where we still have that active tornado warning, you're still included in that severe thunderstorm watch. These are these counties' best areas to see any kind of strong to severe activity here over the next couple of hours. If you're on the east side of I-35 west side of I-35 back into western portions of Iowa, where you're not included in that watch anymore, most of the severe threat pretty much over for you. Not to say we won't see any more rain or storms this evening, but the severe threat really pushing off to the east now, as Jason mentioned. So we'll go back to that warning just to keep you in the loop on that and take a look and see if there's been any updates with it. Still that tornado warning going till 4:30. So still about another half an hour with it. And Jason and I have been watching these storms pretty much all afternoon, and they've been kind of going back and forth, tightening up a little bit as far as the rotation is concerned, and then kind of weakening. And this is the first one where the National Weather Service decided that the strength of this storm was enough to put a tornado warning on it. But notice, still not quite as impressive as what we saw when we went on air about 10 minutes ago or so. So weakening, good sign there, but doesn't mean it could tighten up here with the next couple of scans that we get from the radar. Wanted to point out too, torrential downpours with any of these storms. We've already seen that today. But in addition to all of the lightning and thunder that we're getting as well, we've got rainfall rates pretty significant too across the area. So purples that you see here, anywhere from maybe 4 to 6 inches of rainfall per hour if this storm was standing alone and not moving. So we're going to continue to track this for you here. Again, that tornado warning. It does include Knoxville, Melcher, Dallas. That goes until 4:30 this afternoon. So still a good 25 minutes or so left on this warning. I'm going to keep looking at this, and I'll send it back over to Jason here for the time being.
Sure. And continuing to watch that couplet that we saw, and our shear tracker, our rotation tracker, is doing a really good job of picking up where exactly the strongest rotation within this storm is. So I'm going to keep looking between street level. We'll look at some of the different velocity wind tools that we have that'll help us identify where this is moving and where the area of greatest danger exists. So this area in green here, you look up on our little legend here, it says moderate rotation. We had strong rotation earlier, so that kind of weakened just a bit, and it looks like it's kind of broadened out and even weakened a little bit more with that last scan. Columbia, though, that area of rotation right on top of you now. You got to be in that area where you can be the safest within your home. You can see Highway 14 running right through that area of rotation. Eventually down the line here, we're going to be talking about where that intersects with Highway G76, and even just south of there, as this is kind of taking more of an east-northeast component to it, 120th Avenue, 130th Avenue along with this, and where those both intersect, the road leading out of Columbia. I want to get an eye on exactly what that is, but you can see that. pushing to the east out of Columbia. So this eventually is going to work its way towards Webster Street, and where that intersects with 130th as well. Getting more updates. And the Weather Service is seeing the same thing that we are, that rotational component has started to weaken a little bit. So until we see this weak enough where it's not going to produce anything, we're going to stay on with you guys to make sure that we keep everybody within the path of this dangerous storm safe. That is our goal every time we see one of these. So hopping back to velocity here, still a broad couplet kind of on the southern edge of this polygon to the southeast of Melcher, Dallas. Melcher, Dallas, that rotation to the southeast of you now. So you're still probably seeing some pretty heavy rain work its way on through, but the threat of that tornadic activity is just off to the southeast now. That's over Columbia. Belinda, I'd be in your safe space as well. That rotation just to the northeast of you, but you can see kind of how elongated that has become. And as we were looking at this earlier with kind of where it was dodging around with that boundary, you can see some different areas of this spark up depending where that goes. So zooming out a little bit further, I do want to keep an eye on some of the other storms that we have got on radar. And south of this, just a little more ragged, whole lot of rain. Got Lucas, Derby, Sheraton. We got our weather watcher, Austin Hamilton, down there in Sheridan. Williamson, upwards towards Knoxville. So again, that area rotation just to the south of Melcher, Dallas, making its way to the northeast. I'll put a brand new storm track on here. It looks like, Ann, you've got that pulled up right now. Do you want to run through that really quick?
Yeah, I can talk about this here. Want to keep you guys updated. This is going to move to the north and east at about 40 miles per hour. So that's the other concern with these storms that we have this evening. They're racing off anywhere from 35 to 45 miles per hour. So it's going to be a quick moving storm. Best area of rotation here just to the south of Melcher, Dallas. So places like Harvey, this storm in your neighborhood in the next 20 minutes here, Tracy in the next 22 minutes, Pella, you're on the very far edge of this storm, but if it were to hold together, it would be in the Pella area here, probably within the next 30 minutes or so. So if you do have your alarms going off on your phones, on your watches, your weather radio going off, take this seriously and just head to the lowest level of your home, get inside if you're not already. Most interior room of the building that you're in is also a safe place to be as well. The other thing to note with these storms here, we've been talking about the heavy rain, the torrential downpours that we have. It would be pretty hard to see this if it is producing a tornado on the ground. So it's likely that it's rain wrapped. As Jason mentioned, it looks a little bit ragged on the radar. So it's probably likely not easily seen if you're just outside looking with all of the rain that's still falling outside right now. We'll head back to the radar here briefly just to get another look at it. And we'll go back to velocity to see if we've got any kind of tightening here with this cell. It's kind of gone back and forth over the last 20 minutes or so, tightening and weakening and then kind of tightening up again. But still, it's got the green here as we've been mentioning, so at least some light to moderate here rotation. If there were a tornado on the ground, it would probably be just passing Highway 14. Again, this is just to the south and east of Melcher, Dallas. That's where the best area of rotation is that we can find on the radar right now. Let's head over to our impacts tool to give you an idea of some of the other impacts that are likely falling right now inside this storm. There's probably at least a little bit of hail, up to about a ½ inch in diameter. And then the possibility, of course, of stronger winds, upwards of maybe 60, 70 miles per hour or so on the high end. So, of course, strong winds, torrential downpours, a little bit of lightning as well, all associated with this storm. And much of the day today, we haven't gotten any confirmed reports in Iowa, but we have seen wind gusts with those storms coming out of Missouri at one point, I think, up to about 90 miles per hour. Not saying this storm is that strong, but there is that potential, or was that potential, for those storms to be a little bit stronger when they kind of just interacted with the intensity and just the elements that we have in place across southern Iowa. So this was kind of the best spot across southern portions of the state that we thought we would see. If we were to see a tornado threat happen, it would likely be in this area, and that's exactly what we have this evening. So this is the only tornado warning that we have. I'll also zoom out here. The rest of the storm and activity that we have on the radar, not severe at this point in time. So heavy rain elsewhere, lightning and thunder, all possibilities, but this storm down in Marion County is the one that has caught our attention and has the tornado warning on it. Everyone else, just dealing with regular showers and thunderstorms here as we head into the evening hours tonight. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. I'm going to check the chat from the National Weather Service just to make sure they haven't come out with any new updates. But for now, Jason, what do you have over there on your radar?
Yeah, I've been going up and down this line to make sure we're not seeing any other areas of rotation. None as strong as we're seeing just to the southeast of Melcher, Dallas right now. But as I go down this line, we do have an area of very strong winds and even some broad rotation to the west of Millerton. So this area has had winds at the surface out of the southeast. And that's one of the things you look for, because that can help to create that turning in the atmosphere needed to take that rotating tube all the way down to the ground and have a tornado form. So again, not seeing the strength in the rotation there yet, but an area we're going to have to probably keep an eye on over the next 20 minutes to a half hour or so to see if we do see any of that start to tighten up and start to strengthen it all. Right now, though, mainly just seeing very strong storm. We've got pockets of maybe even potentially pea-sized hail associated with this. As I hop back over to our impacts tool, you can see the core that just made its way over Highway 65. That is just on the north side of Corridon. So wouldn't be surprised to be seeing either pea-sized hail or very heavy rain associated with that cell. And I'm going to zoom back out a little bit, and we'll put a track on this one just to be safe, as again, some of these along this line doesn't take much, doesn't take a whole lot of spin in this current setup to get anything to reach to the ground. So again, we've got the one tornado warning right now off through again, just southeast of Melcher, Dallas, and then another storm we're keeping an eye on. Ovia, 2 minutes. Melrose coming in at 22 minutes. Elbia coming in at 39 minutes for that storm. So as we continue to keep an eye on these two storms, I want to hop back over to our shear tracker here, and you can see off to the south there's still broad rotation on that storm, but the tightest rotation that we're seeing now, again, is south of Knoxville, east of Melcher, Dallas. And as I zoom in, kind of a broader area. It's made its way over Highway 14 now, and zooming in a little bit further, areas like Highway G76, which we've mentioned a couple times here, 120th Avenue. We've got 130th Avenue. This is working its way towards Rutledge Street, 150th Place, and eventually 160th Avenue as well. So as we look at our storm relative velocity tool, this gives you an idea of how the winds are moving, taking the storm's movement into account as well. And as we have said, these storms have been moving really quickly. So still seeing some broad rotation just on the southern edge, southeastern edge of this tornado warning polygon, which is likely going to continue for a little bit longer here. Hopefully we start to see this weaken. Usually you see it broaden out a little bit like this, and you get some of that intensity to continue to drop off. And hopefully that's what we see. As this shifts further to the north, it's going to be making its way into less ample atmosphere, which will be a good thing. Hopefully that means that we start to see this kind of die out a little bit. But for the time being, we still have a tornado warning in effect until 4:30. That storm working its way south of Knoxville, upwards towards Highway 5. If it holds together, could be talking about Harvey and Tracy down the line. But again, that is an if at this point, as that has been weakening. So we'll see if this continues to weaken, but you get west of there, and as Ann mentioned, we don't have a lot going on. You've got showers, you've got lighter variety storms as you get a little bit further to the south, but really just a couple different storms that we're keeping an eye on that have the potential, at least, to produce something that could be considered either severe, like the one south of Sheridan, or tornadic just to the southwest of Pella. But even on reflectivity, you can see kind of the downturn within this storm. The storm south of Sheridan still has a really solid core to it. The one to the northeast here, southwest of Pella, has lost a little bit of that strength on radar. Still spinning, though, to the southwest of Pella there, but not quite as strong as it was even just a scan ago. So keep fingers crossed that continues to be the case for us. Knoxville, you're just on the northern edge of that area of rotation. But this is going to be pushing its way over Highway 5 and eventually Highway 92 if it does hold together. Let's take a look at debris tracker. What this does is it tries to pick up on any thing that could have been damaged that's been lofted into the atmosphere. If you see blues, that's the worst case scenario. That means that it's not something that is uniform in shape. That's what it's looking for, something that's uniform, like a raindrop or a hailstone. If you see that, it's going to show up as one of these pink colors. But as that starts to drop to a blue color, that's going to mean that that is going to be something that is debris that has been thrown up into the atmosphere. So continuing to keep an eye on this. Again, broad rotation. If you're just tuning in, we've got that east of Highway 14. That's going to be south of Highway 5, east of Melcher, Dallas, continuing to push its way to the northeast. I want to put a new storm track on this for you. And was the movement around 50 miles per hour?
40
miles per hour now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put a new storm track up here, and we'll get an idea of where this is headed and when it will be there. But as this pushes to the northeast, this could come close to Oskaloosa if it holds together. Again, as I said before, a big if at this point with how much this has weakened. So Harvey, you've got around 12 minutes. Tracy, there's a good festival there called Tracy Festival. That's 13 minutes. Layton coming in at 22 minutes. So that continues to the northeast. We look a little bit further to the south here, and we're still looking at least broad rotation to the north of Corydon there. So one to keep an eye on. Again, not as strong as we're seeing to the north, but it doesn't take much, as I said before, for some of these to kind of spin up a little bit. Looking at shear tracker here, still kind of broad to the storm south of Knoxville, east of Melcher, Dallas. And we've got Ann on this too, meteorologist Ann Campolongo. I see you've got radar, you've got winds pulled up over there. What are you seeing?
Just wanted to keep an eye on the storm a little bit further to the south, as well as Jason pointed out, the one near Corydon. But still kind of seeing the greens and the reds here on this tornado warning just south of Knoxville, kind of fanning out, if you will. So as we've been talking about, it's just kind of weakening there. It's a little bit broader in rotation. If you have that tighter rotation that you see, or the colors are a little bit tighter, the reds and greens are very close together, that's when you have more significant evidence, I guess you could say, of a tornado. So good news is for us, at least for the time being here, it's kind of fanned out and weakened just a little bit, and they have trimmed down that polygon box here. So it does basically just include Knoxville for the time being, and we'll see if the National Weather Service does expand that or not in the next 10 to 15 minutes. It's still showing a little bit of rotation here. This would be coming close to Highway 5. And again, down the line, places like Tracy, Bussey, Layton, Harvey as well, all down the line from this storm. So hopefully it will lose its intensity here, and the National Weather Service will cancel the warning, and then it just potentially would be a stronger storm down the line. Wanted to point out here with the impacts tracker that we have, it's kind of picked up just a little bit in the wind department here. Intensity winds potentially here just south of Knoxville, maybe upwards of 70 miles per hour within the worst part of this storm. So that's the one difference that I've seen within about the last 5 minutes or so. And then also we still have the potential for a little bit of hail inside this storm here as well. But other than that, we've got the heavy rains, a little bit of lightning and thunder with this storm. And again, when you just look at it on radar, doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary. But then when you look at the winds inside the storm, that's where you have the tightening and the potential to see rotation inside this storm. Another thing too, quickly just wanted to mention, visibilities for a lot of spots here across the metro area and places that have seen these showers and thunderstorms lessening quite a bit, down to about a half a mile visibility in Ankeny, close to 2 miles up in Ames, places like Osceola, down to about 2.5 miles visibility as well. So we've got a lot of low clouds out there. We've got the rain. We've got the storms falling as well, and that is creating some visibility concerns here for the time being. This is what it looks like from our downtown sky cam. So a little bit higher up, obviously, on a taller building, but lots of low clouds out there, quite a different picture than what we saw earlier today with just mainly the mostly cloudy skies. Another thing too, if you've had the storms come through your neighborhood already today, you've probably noticed the big cold or cool down for us, and you can see where that cold front is. Right here, where we've got temperatures still hanging out in the 60s, that's the leading edge of that cooler air. So everyone behind it, where we've got temperatures in the 50s, basically your severe threat is over for the time being. It's the places that are still warm. So where we have those storms popping up across southern Iowa right now, Places like Ottumwa, Centerville, you're still in the 70s. That's where we still have a little bit of moisture and that instability for those storms to tap into. So that would be the best spot to see some of those stronger storms. But as Jason mentioned, as they move to the north, they really move out of favorable conditions and into really air that's not going to support those storms. So that's the good news there. This front is coming through, and then our severe threat will eventually die down as we head through the evening hours tonight. So that's the good news there. We want to take another look at the tornado warning. Should expire in about the next 10 minutes unless the National Weather Service does extend the warning, Jason, which hopefully there won't be as much rotation anymore.
Yeah, hopefully there won't. And as we've seen in the last 3 to 4 scans on radar, it has been weakening a little bit. This has worked its way right over Attica, south of Pershing right now, and that's continuing to work its way just to the edge of that polygon. So if this rotation does hold itself together, again, Tracy, you'd be the next in line to see this start to work its way on through. So we'll top between some of our tools here, still at least a weak couplet as it's called. You can see the reds shooting out from the radar, the greens going back into the radar. That's where we've got that area of rotation right there. In Attica, this is nearly right on top of you, just to the north of you. And zooming out a little bit further, I want to keep an eye on that storm we've got to the south, but first I'll put a new track on this, and we'll get some timing elements in here to give you guys an idea of when that'll be there where you are. So as this pushes off to the northeast at around 40 miles per hour, we've got Tracy in 9 minutes, Layton coming in at 18 minutes, Beacon in 23 minutes, Oskaloosa coming in at 28 minutes, and 26 minutes, excuse me, University Park 28 minutes, New Sharon 34, and Rose Hill coming in at 41. Again, it's an if at this point if it holds together that far to the east, but it could. It's just radar and even velocities, which is turning of the winds, or how our radar reads the winds, have been weakening, thankfully. So as we look a little bit further to the south, you can see just how messy that looks now. But let's look at the storm that we've got a little bit further to the south of Sheraton here, and the velocities that this has been carrying. Still at least seeing some broad rotation with this. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Winds out on the front of this coming in probably around 40 miles per hour or so. So still some decently strong winds associated with this storm. Everything as it sits right now, though, is sub-severe. And even the rotational component, while it's there, it's not strong. But you get 1 or 2 scans on radar if this is moving into a better environment, and that can really uptick this and turn it into a situation that could become dangerous. But as it sits now, you zoom out and you can see the areas that we're tracking for rotation. We've got the one within the tornado warning polygon and that one other area off to the south of Sheridan. Really the only 2 areas where we're seeing that much as far as dangerous conditions go. Impacts-wise, the core of the storm to the south of Sheridan would be the only one that's really got the potential to be producing any hail, maybe pea-sized hail out of that, besides really heavy rain is what we're looking at. And we zoom a little bit further out here, and you can see those really are the only 2 storms that are showing any intensity with any kind of severe element. So I know we've got a line of storms here, but it's become a lot more ragged. Areas off to the south of that one main storm we're tracking near Sheridan, and even to the north towards Grinnell, you're probably experiencing a whole lot of lightning. You're probably experiencing very heavy rain, and as Ann said, limited visibilities, but you're not seeing the dangerous components that we're seeing with these 2 other storms that we have been tracking. So to hop back over here, I want to get down street level with you another time. We're going to carry this through that 4:30 expiry of that storm, and it does sound like they are probably going to expire it within that window there. So let's zoom back in, and you can see that continues to move its way out of that tornado polygon and really is starting to weaken here. So southeast of Pershing, this is going to continue to push its way to the northeast. Highway T17 is where we're seeing that. That's going to continue east of Pierce Drive, and working its way towards Reagan Street as well. This is just going to be just to the north of Highway G71. So again, has a little bit of a northeast component, which would put it right on Pierce Drive here, where that intersects with around 230th Avenue. But as it sits, this is probably going to weaken to a point before it gets there where that threat is going to start to dissipate a little bit. But still one we're likely going to have to at least keep a watchful eye on as we head beyond the expiration of this warning to make sure that we don't see anything more kind of tighten up there and have the ability to produce anything tornadic. But still strong winds out ahead of that, south of Highway 92, east of Highway 5. You can see that area right there is the one we're watching. And I want to hop back down to the storm to the south as well. You can see all the mess we've got to the west. Just rain, and I mean beneficial rains for some of us, but I know there's probably some farmers out there that still haven't harvested. This will make that a little more difficult. Stronger rain, heavier rain to the south of Sheridan, southwest of Melrose. That's right to the south of Russell. And looking at your shear tracker there, that has even weakened as well. So thankfully, watching these storms start to die a little bit, and momentarily here, we'll likely be able to hop back into the newscast here. This is typically where our 4 p.m. newscast lives, and well, we've got weather news to tell you about today, as we've had some storms that have raced their way on through, and we still have portions of the area east of this line that are under that severe thunderstorm watch until 7 p.m. this evening. It has been trimmed back, as Ann said. Areas west of this line are in the clear as far as severe weather goes. You're still going to be seeing rain, and even to the north here, likely still seeing thunder, as a lot of these storms have been really electrically active. You get east of the metro and then south, and you can see kind of the two bullseyes of where the lightning is. That's really a good indicator of where the strongest storms have existed. But again, the tornado warning storm that we have right now is finally looking like it is going to be coming to an end. So as we zoom back in here, I think we can probably, guys, get ready in the next couple minutes here to start back into the 4 o'clock newscast. So if you want to start to get things ready, I'll take this through until I hear from you. But here's that area of rotation still just kind of moving its way out of the box. Okay, so I think now, unless we see this strengthen, we're going to head back into the newscast, give you your latest and greatest news of the day. But I'll be keeping an eye on this as we head through that to make sure that we're keeping you safe. For now, though, we'll get you back into the news.
This is Iowa's news leader, KCCI 8 News at 4.